The Pod Barber. Coming up on today's show.
I fed the Beckhams, that was quite good fun. We were given information, shall we say, that one of the Beckhams could be slightly awkward. So Victoria Beckham was, just a plain bit of cod, steamed. So like, okay, fair enough. So yep, send it out. Anyway, bit of cod comes back. Don't like it, it's too fishy. So you're like, hang on a minute, it's fish. So we just did her a plain bit of chicken, went out, nothing heard of it. And then Victoria piped up and she went, can I just apologise? I only sent the fish back. I don't know if you know, but I'm pregnant. And she was like, everything just tastes a bit more than it should, but the chicken was lovely. Thank you very much. And that was it. She was really nice.
You're listening to The Pod Barber. I'm taking conversations from my barber's chair deeper, further, and I'm championing the chat. Men's health and well-being takes centre stage. With help from my guests sharing knowledge and experience, stories from their quests, we tackle the taboos. We're all learning together. It's emotional. We're just dudes. So feel the positive vibes we're sending out to you. It's simple. Join my tribe, subscribe to The Pod Barber. You, my friends, are not alone.
Who's next, please?
Well, I'll tell you who. We've got Matthew Gurnett, the creative force from Saffron Walden Fish Co here today. Saffron Walden's first fishmonger to establish and nestle deep inside this thriving market town. He brings his nuance, his collation of years of culinary expertise, his total desire to serve up the freshest, friendliest of fishy dishes to these lucky locals and far-flung villagers from across the globe. I'm so lucky, you're so lucky. We're all so bloody lucky, and Matt here is going to champion the chat, let us in on the secrets and well-being of the food industry. Let's hope we can clear your anxiety over all your anchovies, also the wider issues, as we cast our net of conversation into the abyss that surrounds our fine island, but equally importantly, the world. Ready the keep net, because I caught me a great chat here. Matthew Gurnett, welcome to the show, bro.
Welcome, mate. It's a pleasure to be here. It's just a bit strange being face-to-face.
Yeah. That's so true, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because I'm normally
you're standing behind me, caressing my head. So this is different.
So many people make the same point. It's that is weird. I'm used to speaking over your shoulder. Well, welcome to your face. Welcome to my face, man. Welcome to the Pod Barber. I got your noodle here, dude.
Cool.
So I call you Matt the Fish, or Mr. Gurnett, whichever you wish. You supply the surf to the turf on the dish. When I fancy sustainably, ethically line-caught fish, see, Matt, my friend, what we all love about you. You're peddling your passion, connection, your knowledge of food. You've worked as head chef in that famous address. Saffron Walden's eating your sea fodder, we're all so impressed. Crustaceans, crabs, lobsters, langoustines and prawn. So David says we must have no fish zones, save our seas, humanity avoiding mourn. After shark fin soup and homicide to whales, carefully selecting honourable fishermen through listening to their tales. Matt the Fish, the world needs your message, your intimate view. Let us in on the lived experience from our inspiring world that shaped you.
That's good. I like it. Very clever. Very clever. The Gurnard link was, inspired.
I did actually say, I think you should change your name to Matt Gurnett, didn't I?
Yeah.
I think the first day you opened your door.
It works.
It does work, mate. And so do you, pal. You work bloody hard. Yeah, thanks for coming in. Thanks for supporting the Pod Barber Show, local legend that you have become. So let's start with just saying, how are you coping at the moment, bro? It's been a bit of a weird one.
Yeah, good. Lucky, really lucky, been able to stay open. I'm one of the few shops actually in town that has been able to stay open all the way through. So I've traded and have been busy. I've been really fortunate. It's been a difficult first year, but it would have been a difficult first year anyway. I don't know whether I'm less busy, more busy, what would have been, because this has been my first year. So I've just taken every day sort of as it's come, and I've been really well supported within town. It's been nice. People seem to be cooking at home a bit more. People have got a bit more time. They're not travelling 2-3 hours a day. So they've got time to sit down with their family and think, do you know what, actually, we're going to cook now. We're going to connect again. We're going to go all through all the things we're meant to be doing, and we're going to have something nice. We can't go out to restaurants, so we're going to treat ourselves. And that seems to be what's happened, and it looks like it's sticking around. People seem to be enjoying the fact that they're at home a bit more and can spend time with their families cooking, dusting off old cookbooks. A lot of people keep coming in, I've dusted off this old book, haven't done this recipe for years. Obviously my chef experience now, people have kind of learned they can come in and go, I don't know what to do with this. What can I do? Give me something new. So I like to draw on that experience, give them something that's either easy or right up to quite a technical dish for them to do at home. Hopefully it works for them every time because they seem to come back. So obviously doing something right there. And yeah, that's kind of how this year's gone, really. Expanding. So this is kind of a an announcement almost, if you like. First sort of place that we've announced that we've taken over next door shop and we're opening. I keep calling it a deli, but I don't like the word delicatessen. So we're going to call it a deli, but if you will, it's a pescatessen.
Man, I love that. That is the sort of shit that I'd come out with.
Yeah. So
well done.
It's, you know, we're going to get people in by calling it a deli, so you'll know what it is.
I think
you'll know what to expect.
Just say that again.
It's a pescatessen.
I think you should just call it that. And I think that's where we're at. I think the world looks for new things, and I prefer that. That's original, because everyone's going to know, because there's going to be loads of fish hanging around.
Yeah, you're going to get the idea.
They're just going to look, and it's going to be more catchy. Literally, there you go. There's another one, more catchy. Man, I didn't realise that was you. Like, you pretty much just kicked it off. The door opened as the door closed on society, and that is just quite a mad first year. So like you were mentioning, you can't sort of collate the data. You could have had your dreams, your aspirations, but perhaps it's just been all blown out of the water by COVID. But I would say that you probably are one of the success stories, and you've probably brought a lot of joy into the households of many. As you were saying, everyone wanted to connect back to the plate, get together, chef up some stuff, barbie some stuff up in those first moments. Happy days, man. You've brought a lot of joy. Let's have a little bit more about you. What's Matt the Fish? Who are you?
So, yeah, I'm a local lad. I've lived in Newport all my life. Haven't travelled too far. Went to Newport Primary School, Newport Grammar School as it was then. Wasn't really academic. Wouldn't say I wasn't clever. Probably a little bit too clever to know that I didn't want to do school. Nothing appealed to me at school. Didn't really enjoy sports, maybe a bit of science, but nothing got me. I didn't feel like there was one part that I was like, this is what I want to do. That's what I want to do. I just drifted along. You know, I made best friends with the cleverest guy in our year, copied his homework pretty much every morning to get me through the school day, got home, went out with my mates, didn't really try at school at all until work experience back in the day when you used to be able to, you know, be shipped off for 2 weeks for someone to slog your guts out free of charge. So the local pub in Newport, the Coach and Horses, my dad was a regular there, so got me a little wash-up couple of weeks, or what I thought would be washing up for 2 weeks. And was just inspired from the first day, sort of walked in there and was like, this clicks, I get this I can do, and enjoyed it. Like, I was 15 years old, worked there night and day for 2 weeks and couldn't wait to get back. Didn't want to go to school anymore. I found what I want to do. This is me. I find this easy, enjoyable, and someone pays me for this at the end of the day. This is mad. Yeah, so about 3 weeks later, Dad comes home from the pub. Yeah, Jeff's give you a job if you want to work, but it's Friday and Saturday nights. You know, you're 15, 16, Friday and Saturday nights, you should be down Bridgend Gardens getting drunk with your mates. But I thought, no, do you know what, let's give it a go and see what happens. And yeah, I was there for 3 years after that, and I went from that work experience to pretty much running the kitchen on my own, you know, some help, and it was just fun. Like, I had loads of good fun. We used to do bank holiday fun days on August bank holiday where we wouldn't get paid. We'd work, all our money would go to charity, and we'd just have a party at the end of the day. And it was all the staff, and it was a real nice connection. I think I liked that part of it as well. I was close to joining the army when I left school. I was a bit like drifting, didn't really know what I wanted to do. I was a bit trying to find something. And then I went on to catering college. And again, I just found it easy. You know, I won the awards at college. We did a national award. I won a National Seafood Award, funnily enough, at college. And I just found it really easy. There was no, like, not at one point was I pushed or thought, oh, I can't do this. Like at school, I'd always felt, can't do this doesn't fit. Then a job at the Cricketers came up, their second chef job. So I thought, yeah, I can do that. Of course I can do that. I've been working in this little pub for a couple of years. I can easily go and be the second chef there. I've been the first chef here. Yeah, that was an eye-opener. When I started there were 7 chefs. So there was no way this little lad, this little, 18-year-old, thought he was Billy Big Bollocks, was going to be number 2. But Trevor saw something in me and was like, yeah, I'll give you a job, but you got to work for it. Like, this isn't just, here's a job. You got to come and we work hard. And I was just finishing my 3rd year at college. So at the time, I got Sunday nights off. That was it. If I wasn't working at the Cricks, I was at college, and did that for about 4 months. And then, yeah, the Cricketers was probably the first professional proper kitchen that I joined. And it was a very different kitchen to where I'd been. It was a much more professional kitchen, but equally stricter. There was messing about to a point, but it's the first place where, I've got shouted at.
Yeah, your whites needed to be white.
Yeah.
They were looking at you before you walked in the door. You
Yeah.
had to represent properly. They had standards.
Yeah, if your jobs weren't done on time, if you weren't being quick enough, things were forced upon you, and you were sort of like, this must be done, and which is good. And I know it needs it. That's what a kitchen should be. They are very army-based. Very famous chef Escoffier, who set up basically the kitchen system that we run by now. So head chef, sous chef, junior sous chef, chef de partie, commis, all those things were set up by a guy called Escoffier. And he ran it alongside how a military works. And it's a very similar situation. So yeah, worked there. In total, I worked at the Cricketers for 19 years, 4 months and 9 days.
Testament, man.
And really enjoyed it. It was a really nice place to work. Was able to learn so much. I mean, the week I started was when Jamie's first programme aired on telly.
It's Naked Chef.
As the Naked Chef.
Yeah, man, I remember that.
So we had all this cool stuff going on at the Cricketers. Like, it was the place to be locally. Like, if you wanted to work somewhere, that's where you worked. So we all felt a little bit rock starry, because there was film cameras coming in and filming us for programmes and stuff. We had like Japanese TV coming in and wanting to interview us. And you're like, who are these guys? People wanted us to sign Jamie's cookbooks for us, because they'd come to Jamie's pub and eaten food.
With your name or?
With our name. With all the boys in the kitchen, we'd all sign
Just
it.
Jamie?
No, just all the boys in the kitchen would all sign it.
So
and
cool.
I learnt so much there. Butchery skills. I can butcher anything now just through working there. We were allowed to play and try. And yeah, fishmongery skills. So we got into all sorts of fish. They still do. Whole fish, it all comes in and you just play with it. Pretty much. Really lucky to do that. So yeah, and then I was head chef there for the last 8 years of when I worked there. And yeah, that was an eye-opener. All of a sudden, having to look after people as well is really difficult, because there's so many different ways you can look after people. The hospitality industry is really harsh. It's changing. It's on the cusp of a change, because it's not a nice place to work. If you don't like it, you just get eaten up and spat out.
It's going to be tough, isn't it? I think knowing you, like, basically, I've cut your hair, and we've traded recipes with. Yeah. I've totally, back in the day, you had to sit down in the queue, didn't you? And it was a case of, who's next, please?
Yeah, literally, yeah.
So I would all sit there and I'd be eyeing you up, and I'd be like, and all the other chefs and everyone, because I'm so keen to understand what you're doing. And I dare say a lot of my shared knowledge probably taught you so many things you knew about cooking. Is that true, Matt?
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice to talk to people about cooking, but yeah, a lot of the times they're telling you, you're getting people
how to do your job.
Yeah, people are going, I've had this bit of salmon in the fridge for 4 days, and then I bunged it in the microwave on full power for 7 minutes, put some chili sauce on it. It's amazing. You should try it. And you're like, oh, yeah, okay, that works for you.
That's
great.
Probably after 8 pints of Stella. And you're so polite as well, because you always sort of encouraged my keenness to.
That's probably the one thing that if you know me outside the Cricketers, or outside the kitchen, shall we say, and you know me inside the kitchen, it's two different people.
Yeah.
And people, it annoys the hell out of my wife, because we met at the Cricketers. She was a waitress, so she knows Matt the arsehole. That's who she first met. And all her family is, Matt's so lovely, he's so sweet. God, and she's like, you go and stand in the kitchen with him for 5 minutes, and he's not. He shouts and swears at people, and he does this, he does that. But I'd like to think it was all fair. I'm sure sometimes I've crossed the line. We all have. But
I think that's why they're there, man. I think to be honest, someone draws something in the dirt, and it doesn't have to be a boundary. It doesn't have to be something you follow or sniff up. All it needs to be is, well, there's a measure, and let's find out.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I kind of have learned good things and bad things from lots of people I've worked with. I've seen lots of the way not to do things, and loads, 10 times more the way to, this is how you do things, this is how that's done, with people management. I had 10 chefs underneath me at one point, and chefs are a funny breed. You're not, like me leaving school, you're not the average person. You tend to be a bit of an outcast, a bit of a rebel. You're either the school hard case who's come in and doesn't matter, but you flunked school, so you need a job. So this will do. It's easy to get into catering college. You can walk in, you don't need any real qualifications to do it. So you end up with a massive mix of people that really love cooking and want to do it, to the people that this is the only thing they can do.
I suppose the thing is with that, there's so many different personalities, and some of them, certainly back in the day, it was a case of the outcast. But like you said before, in this particular area, in your particular story, it was rock and roll, man. I mean,
Yeah,
like you guys were like superstars, and that in itself would have then people would have put their ears up. But you had that, I'm going into the army. So you love the idea of the discipline, and actually to present a plate of food, it takes a complete attention to detail, discipline, pride. It's like making your bed for Sergeant Major in the morning before he shouts at you. Oh, yeah, shouting. Did I mention shouting? In the kitchen, everyone's effing and jeffing, shouting their mouths off. I'm sure that's changed a little bit. We'll probably get into some of that stuff in a bit. But the kaleidoscope of people and the personalities, especially in the job that you're doing now, taking it further, it is like a real variety. It's like a proper buffet, isn't it?
Yeah, good chefs have a kind of core element to you. You're all a bit obsessive compulsive. You're incredibly focused when you need to be. There's the other side, that when you don't need to be and when you're not in the kitchen, that's when the gloves are off. And there's a very famous picture that's a riot somewhere in the world, and across it says, if every chef had a Saturday night off. And that would literally be what would happen. Because you work so hard. You're working with this group of people that become your family. You spend way more time with these people than you do your family. The most you see your family, they're asleep. These guys are 8 a.m. till 11 at night. You're all together. You're all there in the fire, in the heat of the moment. You can have punch-ups. But I've had punch-ups. I've seen punch-ups.
Yeah. Did you win?
Continually. List size of me. Did I win? But what I kind of lack in size, I always kind of made up for in just personality.
Yeah.
And being the head chef, you've got to be good, and you've got to back yourself that you're good. And if you say that's what needs to be done, that's what needs to be done. And there is loads of people that don't like it. And I've had an ongoing argument, should I say, with one of my trainee chefs years ago, that I wouldn't say please or thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And all I would just used to say to him back is, just say yes, chef. I'd shout at him for something. He'd get annoyed because I wouldn't say please. Just say yes, chef. He went on to run 4 or 5 different pubs. After running his second one, phoned me up and he went, "You're a bastard, you are." He goes, "Why?" He said, "Because I now stand here shouting at people, just say yes, chef." To the point now where he has a tattoo on his arm that say, "Just say yes, chef."
That's cool.
He's not chefing anymore. He's running a different business. He's done his chefing, but he's got a family now. He's concentrating on that. But yeah, he learned the discipline that he needed at the time just to carry him on a little bit. And he was like, actually, you were right. The shouting worked. But some people you don't have to shout at. Some people I could just tell off quietly. They'd beat themselves up a lot more than whatever I said to them. They'd take themselves off into a corner and you could see it going through in their head what they'd done wrong, and they'd come back a little bit later and be like, "Look, I'm sorry, blah, blah, blah." But I always made the thing that at the end of the service, no matter what happened, if we'd had a punch-up, if we had a great service, if someone had cut their finger off, we'd have a beer. We'd all just chill out and have a beer. We're all mates. When we walk out that door, it's all over. Forget it. I don't care what you did. I ain't got time to worry about this, that or the other for the next service.
Yeah, I mean, straight away I just think, like you've mentioned that 19 years, something, I didn't write it down, but that length of time in one industry and largely spent in one place as the head, like literally the heartbeat of that place,
yeah.
The food coming out of there, to leave one career that's that good, and they would have been happily paying you every penny that you even wanted. What was it that sort of tipped you in over the edge in the end and was like, right, that's it, I've just got to punch out, I've just got to go, I'm going to do it, this is my dream? What was it, the bit of commitment that you really needed?
Yeah, so it was quite a whirlwind few weeks when I kind of decided, and I'd been looking, as you know, I'd been looking at premises, every premises that came up in town for the last 10 years. I could look at, tell you how much it was to rent, and we'd talk about it, and I could say, we could do this with it, you could do that with it. No, not that one, not that one. The money was there. I was ready to do it. And yeah, like you say, I was really well paid at the Cricketers. Everyone was. Trevor and Sally really looked after their staff. So yeah, I think it took me a while to build up the bravery to go, do you know what? I can walk out of this, and I've got the support. My wife had a good job. We looked at the figures and she went, look, what's the worst that's going to happen? You'll go back to chefing. It's literally the worst thing that's going to happen is you'll go back to a job that you love at the moment. So why aren't you doing it? So then kind of umming and ahhing about it still. It's like, yeah, I'm going to do it. As you know, I said that for quite a while. And then a shop was opening in town called Blue Nature, which was the greengrocers. It's now not there. So my wife panicked. Someone's doing it. Because that was always my fear. If someone else opened a fishmonger's, you can't open another one. It just doesn't work. So I was like, oh, shit, I've lost the opportunity. And then like everything sunk. I was like, oh, what am I going to do? I can't be at the Cricketers forever. I want to start a family. I love being a chef. But I don't really want to do that till I'm old. I'm not going to be able to do that till I'm old.
You've done it.
Yeah. I thought I'd done my time. I was getting out, not at the top, but I was getting out at a stage where I was happy. I was like, do you know what? I've done a lot. I'm happy with this. And then, luckily it turned out to be a greengrocer's. So I was like, right, let's look for shops now. So the shop on George Street where I am, strangely, was my wife's best friend's jewellery shop. And they were redoing all the flats, and she'd moved out to move up north. There was a guy painting outside one day. So I went up to him, do you know what's going in this shop? He went, oh, no, nothing to do with mate. You'll have to phone the letting agents. So I phoned them up, and they were like, yeah, it's available. I was like, I'd like it then. And in about an hour of me going and chatting to this guy and thinking, that old shop, I know that one. That's not a bad size. I could make this work. I'd put in an offer on a shop without really telling anyone. So it was a bit of backwards and forwards in. And then that was 5 days before I got married. So
big change.
Within a week, I'd put in an offer on a shop and then was getting married. So it was a whirlwind of things that happened.
Buzzing, mate. Buzzing.
And then kind of the really nice little thing when it was the jewellery shop, that's where I designed my wife's engagement ring, in that shop.
Mate,
that's now
lovely.
my fish shop.
That's so lovely.
So it's always got a nice little tie and a nice little thing to it. So we just went for it. It took a little while longer than I thought. You're naive. You think, I'll put an offer in a shop. That'll be mine in a couple of weeks. I put the offer in April and finally got the keys in August. But spoke to Trevor and Sally, handed them my notice in. I gave them like a 3-month notice period. They've been good to me. I know chefs are hard to find. It was, like you say, the worst kept secret. They knew what I was doing. Everyone knew what I was doing. And they were really happy for me, really supportive, and wish me all luck. And they still come in regularly now.
And support you now.
Yeah, still support me now.
That doesn't surprise me at all, because you're not just doing something average either. Like you said before, you didn't go in and become a head chef in a really cool place and be an average, and you're not doing anything average now. So, everyone should be supporting you, mate, if they're not. So basically, before you really committed, you grappled with that pressure that you'd put on yourself, that sort of little bit of self-doubt, didn't you? And I do think that's the difficult thing with a lot of us, with the listening to the I'll mention it regularly, but we all succumb to the negative narrative and that self-doubt. And there's always going to be someone there who'll underline it for you.
It was a bigger fear. I'd had the inbuilt all the time, I'm going to do it. But I'm like, I'm leaving a steady job that I could probably stay at until I retired, well paid. It was difficult, but I enjoyed it. To then go to think, I'm going to do something I've never done before, to a point. As I said to my accountant, I can sell fish all day long and play with fish all day long quite happily. But I don't know what tax I need to pay or who needs to be paid for this or that. That's what scared me. I didn't want to, at the end of the year, someone turn around and go, oh, you owe us this much money. Because I didn't know whether I would or wouldn't. My wife, bless her, bought me this business startup book, that business startup book. And I don't do books. And I definitely don't do business startup.
There's so many automated things nowadays.
It's just, write this business plan, do that business plan. And I kept saying to her, I have it in my head. I've been thinking about it for so long. I know what I want to do. Me writing it down doesn't help anyone because it's just me doing it. But having the initial breakout to do it, and then if you're not passionate about something, don't bother doing it because it ain't going to work. You're a passionate barber. People know you're a good barber. That's why people come to you. If you stood there and went, afternoon, have a good day, and then just chop some hair off, people wouldn't come back. You got to have that passion. You got to have that, this is what I love to do. I get up at 3:30 in the morning, drive down to London, pick up fish. But I really enjoy that. As weird and as sad as it might sound, that's kind of my little alone time, driving down the M11.
What do you do when you're driving down there, just out of interest?
I have 80s radio on, but I don't really listen to it. It's just on, so I have some music and I just think through jobs that I need to do today, what do I need to get done? And then just life stuff. It's nice to have some time when, I'm driving, but it's not busy.
It's 3:30 in the morning, mate. You could pretty much drive with your eyes closed. As well. Do you know what I mean?
And it's just, you just got that time. And, this time of year coming back is perfect. You get the sunrise. I always call it, I get my M11 sunrise. It's fantastic. And you get that kind of start of the day. It kind of gets you going. You're like, right, now the sun's up. Let's get going. Let's get, So, I'm back in Saffron Walden by 5:30. And it's a really nice time to be in town because no one's about. You see loads of nice stuff, you know.
That's something really quite special. And you're very, very fortunate to get that. And I love the fact that you still go to market. So the things that you're putting out on your display cabinet, this isn't just coming from bookers. This is handcrafted material from our seas, isn't it? You really know your suppliers. You really know their stories.
The suppliers that I use are suppliers that I've kind of built up relationships through of 22 years of being a chef. Billingsgate Market, it's an old-fashioned market. You'll get stitched up. If you walked in there with a couple of £100 in your pocket and you wanted a load of fish, you'll get a load of fish, but you won't get the quality that you should be getting for that money.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know these guys, so I go and I get the best. And if it's not the best, they'll say, no, it's not good enough, so we're not going to give it to you. It's like, cool, and I respect that more. Me coming back to the shop, someone going, oh, have you got hake today? And I'll be like, no, I haven't, because the quality wasn't there, so I haven't got it. That's how I work. And some things pop up, you know, seasonally, something will be great and I'll get it for a few weeks and then it will disappear again and you might not see it for another 4 or 5 months.
Catch of the day, man. It's seasonal produce, isn't it?
Yeah, I think as a country we've got away from realising a bit too much that things are seasonal. Lots of things are seasonal.
Well, I think we're coming back to it, Matt. And
yeah.
I think the more people sort of dial into the types of conversations that we share on the Pod Barber, you know, thoroughly around this whole area, there is definitely some amazing providers of excellent stuff. Spend the time to talk to these guys, have a little chat, and you'll see just from their conversation that they are delivering decent stuff seasonally. Why would you want to eat something that's out of season anyway? I mean, especially seafood, man, that's going to go wrong, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a reason that things are good in certain times of the year and reasons they should be avoided other times of the year.
What's that thing about mussels, the months?
Are in the month. Shellfish, most shellfish, it's a kind of an old wives' tale, but it does have truth within it.
Yeah.
So you shouldn't eat shellfish if there's not an R in the month. So native oysters, so essentially a wild oyster. Most oysters you see are rock oysters, cultivated, lovely, like the Malden ones. A native oyster is a wild oyster. That's only available when there's an R in the month because that's when they're at their peak.
Yeah.
Or they're not breeding, or, you know, when they should be left alone.
Or the water quality, it changes.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I suppose the only time that you should be eating whatever the hell you like shellfish-wise is if you're massively dyslexic. And then it's like a game of Russian roulette with the toilet. But what's your view on the food industry, particularly kitchen side, considering the importance of mental health awareness right now? Like, because you've been there for so long, I think it's so important to sort of get a little bit of oversight on that from you.
Yeah, no. I think there's definitely a change needed in hospitality industry for mental health. It's too much brushed aside. You know, like I said, you get people coming into a kitchen and they're a little bit on the fringe. And a lot of that might have to be, you know, family life or things like that. Things they might have struggled with in the past that's brought them to your kitchen, you know, to be under my wing, if you like. And then you're kind of taught from the beginning that put 2 bits of bread either side of their head and they're a fucking idiot sandwich. That's not the way forward, but that's intrinsically built into being a chef. That's what you should be doing. That's, you know, you should be shouting and you should be doing this. But yeah, so the term where chefs burn out, I think is wrong now. I don't think chefs burn out. I think they just get chewed up by the industry and then spat out. You know, there's so many things that I've seen that you're like, that's not right, but no one says anything. It's kind of like, that's not right, but he's the head chef, so you don't say anything. You know, you're like, oh, okay, you kind of carry on. And yeah, it leads to chefs with alcohol problems, drug problems. You know, it's one of the highest industries for drug and alcohol problems. And
yeah, it's well documented.
That's probably the reason. The stress is there and it's like a continual stress on you. It would probably be better if there was more head chefs, sous chefs, people like that could see a problem in someone and just take them to one side and be like, are you okay? Or be more approachable so that someone could say, actually, I'm struggling a bit today. Or my nan died last week. I'm finding it really hard. Can you just leave me alone for a little bit? Just tuck me around the corner, put me on desserts or whatever. I just need some time. But it's not, it's the, where's this, where's that? I don't care. Get it done.
Yeah, everyone's nan's died, whatever, mate.
Literally,
get on
yeah.
with it. Do you know what? That to hear it sort of, I was kind of hoping that it might have moved on a little bit. I think it's down to the owners of these businesses and the bigwigs, I've got to be honest, and like the industry leaders to start turning the talk onto talking up and talking about it. And I would recommend anyone to take some format of formal training so that it makes you a better listener. It makes you understood how to let someone talk for them to be heard. And actually, I think realistically, it would be more productive and the whole place would run effectively if everyone was bound by a little bit of compassion and empathy. And actually, it's like, look, mate, I'll take your shift up. You know what? And maybe we cook that person a little special dish just to make them feel better. It could be whatever works within that community, but to make it a purposeful point to be kind, you know, when somebody needs it.
Yeah, there's a couple of sort of chefs that are kind of leading the way, you know. Sat Baines, he's amazing how he looks after his chefs now. He's gone to a 4-day week, really well paid, healthcare for his chefs, things like that. You know, and he's the owner and he's a celebrity, but he's always there and he's always approachable. His chefs can always come to him, can always speak to him. He's got a waiting list of people that want a job there. That's why. Nathan Outlaw, another one, you know, a great seafood chef.
Yeah, he's very good.
And he says, I shout at the chefs when they do something wrong, but I'm there for them. I want to nurture these people. And you end up with a much better person at the end of it than knocking them down every 5 minutes. You know, it's better to bring them up. I'll fully admit I've knocked loads of people down in the past. And I think when you get a bit older, me and you are the same age now, you start sort of getting that side of 40, unfortunately. And you realise it's not perhaps the way, when you look back, that you'd want to be remembered. You've got these people that are looking up to you. They might want to talk to you about something that's troubling them, but they can't because there you are effing and jeffing at them all the time and, you know, belittling them. They think, I can't really speak to them, but I'd really like to just let them know that I'm not okay or that I perhaps just need a bit of time.
Basically, I think it's always good to sort of underline some of the problems in life, isn't it? Which you can do in any industry. And I always feel like there's a common denominator that basically we all need to just check in with one another. Simple as that, mate. Champion the chat.
Yeah.
I mean, it's my favourite thing to say, but it's so true. If you can just adopt that, I mean, maybe we should start a charity, Champion the Chat, and just to explain exactly how you do that, it's quite simple. Hello, mate. How are you coping at the moment?
Yeah. Are you okay?
Because you don't seem your normal self to me, mate. Or maybe we can meet up and have a mint water like Howie's made for us today. Cheers, Howie. But yeah, basically, ask a couple of times and give them the space to answer.
Yeah, talk about it. It's not, I've had friends that have taken their own lives and it's the last people that we all expected. The last person I'd line up 1,000 people today and still wouldn't pick him. And it just, all of my mates, it shocked us all like massively to be like, okay, we need to just check in with each other now, because didn't we check in with him? Probably not, because he was always like Mr. Larry and I'm all right, centre of attention. Anyone you speak to that knows him has 10 stories about his partying and what he'd get up to. So it's kind of, you think about all your other friends and you start checking in just a little bit more than you used to, which is a good thing. Just make sure everyone's all right. If you know someone's perhaps not having the best of time, just send them a few more texts than you would do normally. Just to, at night time, if it's like 8:30 at night or whatever, and you're not down the pub because we can't at the moment or something like that, just give them a call. Right, mate, what are we up to? It's all it takes, really, isn't it? It's not rocket science.
I think you've touched on something that certainly by the time you get to our age, we must have all nearly been affected by the pinnacle of a mental health crisis, which is suicide, and it's just such a destructive thing that's left everyone around them. That poor old bugger, he's no longer with us, but it's the mass depression that sort of hits in afterwards. And if you could do anything to avoid that, you can't always avoid that, I know, but perhaps by simply, if you notice something's not right with someone, just reach out, speak to them, speak to their family, speak to their friends and ask the surrounding people. Make sure someone's taking care of them. It's not up to your government. It's not up to the facilitators of law and the GPs, because quite often these people have slipped through the net and they're not interested.
Yeah. All those sort of people, I don't like going to the doctors about anything. So I'm definitely not going to go to the doctors if I'm feeling depressed or unhappy. But I've got mates that will check in with me periodically and stuff. And it's nice. I'm quite lucky. My mindset, I can box things off and I'll go quiet. But I get over it. I think working as a chef for 22 years, having that intense pressure, I can deal with pressure very quickly. So I kind of not bat it off, but I know how to take it in and then just let it back out again without it building and sort of rumbling on in me. And sort of, I don't dwell on things too much. You know, my wife hates it because I go, well, being upset about it isn't going to make it better. Think about what will make it better and try and focus on that bit, not on the bit that's upsetting you about it. So yeah, and just keep an eye on each other.
I think there's lessons on both ends of that from Matt there. You know, we've learnt something. But for those that can't, Matt's a teacher, I'm a teacher within our trades. We need to teach people how to take the other fork as well.
And I think even if you're someone who can deal with it, it's still nice to have people there that check in on you, or someone that you know, should you need that outlet and you need someone there, you can just pick up the phone and phone that person and they'll be like, yeah, I'm here. What do you want to talk about? Especially for guys, you know, to have 2 or 3 friends that you know you could just dial up and just unload to if you needed to. I think it's really important for people to, or blokes, everyone really, but you know.
It's almost like having like a, you know, like the Samaritans or mind in your phone.
Yeah.
So be sincere. Here's another, like, it's good to start talking, but have a bit of sincerity about it and make it actionable. Like, really think about the person, really think about what you're trying to say, what you're trying to do. And in the simplest way possible, ask them, how are you, man? Again, are you sure? You don't seem right.
Yeah.
So let's start asking each other. Like, we're going to walk around town and everyone's going to be going, you all right, mate? Are we going to start?
Hear now.
I imagine.
You're right.
Well, I tell you what, that would be so fun, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Because, in fact, Saffron Walden, let's go for it.
You've got to ask everyone if they're all right.
You've got to ask everyone if they're all right. Give them a smile. Give them a fist pump. Let's all start asking each other if we're all right, with a smile on our faces. I can't wait for everyone to say, "You're right, Mick. Are you sure you're all right?" It might bother me after a few, but yeah, I'm happy for you to bother me. I'm always bothering people. So yeah, I think we've started a little movement here.
Are you all right? The all right movement.
The all right movement. You all right? All right. Anyway, so I'm aware drugs, heavy boozing, sleazy after-hours relationships are common behind the service hatch. As appealing as that all sounds, it isn't a good long-term therapy for a healthy landscape. The food industry, it is coming along rapidly, man, and it's been made so watchable. The big screen, that old thing that sort of nicks a load of time of an evening. I mean, we have been spoilt with MasterChef, pros, professionals, the amateurs, the celebrity stuff, Sunday morning kitchen. I suppose with all those escapades on our televisions and what have you sort of noticed that there is now like a bit of a regeneration of people, younger people, that do want to get into the industry and create this art that I see on plates? Has it been something that's really regenerated it because it's a horrible hours, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, my kind of interview technique with sort of a trainee would, first question, if you don't love this job, it's the worst job you can ever do. Because, yeah, you're working all the hours, it's hot, all your mates are out all the time, Fridays, Saturdays, you're not out, you're stuck in here with me. So if you don't love it from the beginning, it's difficult. There was a boost in the kind of youngsters coming through, maybe 8 years ago, 10 years ago. Loads of influx of young chefs, and it was, you know, quite a cool thing to do. Now, very difficult to get chefs, very difficult. It is hard work. The pay's not great to begin with, but you'll find a group of people, it's like a team, like a football team, that you can really excel with if you find the right place to work. But the whole hospitality industry is about to have a massive problem. It's about 4 months away from a huge crisis of workers. So lots of Eastern Europeans that are fantastic workers, propped up most of our kitchens for years. Without them, we wouldn't have half the good restaurants we do now. Probably every kitchen in London, if you took away anyone that wasn't English, they wouldn't be able to open.
No, there wouldn't be enough staff.
That would be it. That would be done. Chefs, wash-ups, all of them. Real sort of hard working, good, honest, you know, will turn up, will work, do what you say. But yeah, I mean, the whole Brexit thing, the whole, you know, wages in their own country have increased. So they're all going back home now. So there's this hole of waiters, waitresses, KPs, kitchen porters, chefs that's left. And there's a big gap that, unfortunately, the youth of today don't want to fill.
Because it's hard work.
Because it's hard work.
Do you know what? It's the same in barbering. It's the same in any creative, like in a service-based thing. Yeah, you can view the rock and roll part of it, the bendy nights out and plastering yourself in tattoos, because both of our trades do that.
Yep.
But actually, it's treading the hard times, isn't it? You've got to work like 7 days a week sometimes.
Yeah.
When you're real.
You've got to put in the graft at the beginning.
Yeah, and you've got to be shouted at, and you've got to accept the fact that you're a proper greenhorn. And actually, from the customer's perspective, although I think punters could be a lot more respectful, we'll probably talk about that in a little bit later. But actually, these young whippersnappers, they need to respect the fact that the people sitting at the table, they've worked bloody hard all week. They've had a stressful job. They're not just doing nothing, mate. It's not their privilege. They're coming out, they're supporting that business, which is supporting the families, which is supporting them getting their wage, be it big or small. They've accepted the job in the first place. They should have a little bit of pride about that. We do have a little bit of a lack of pride and a little bit of lack of effort coming through from the younger generation. And I'm not going to say it's all of them, because we'll meet some of the really great ones on here. But let's stick your younger heads up out of the crowd. Get your faces out of your digital devices and dive into being professional. And that in itself is so rewarding. It will send you on your way in life. If you put effort in, if you're willing to put a bit of time in, people recognise that as they recognised it in you. And people recognised it in me. And in all the other people locally that we're trying to champion. And it goes such a long way. It's such a good skill. It gives you such a good feeling of pride, a sense of achievement. Even if you just washed the plates properly, stacked them properly and on time and helped the system get that all smooth, it reduces the stress. There will be a sense of linear production, and it's like rhythm, isn't it? It's like the orchestra plays.
Yeah, most chefs kind of start off as wash-ups, because you're kind of washing up and you're kind of looking up in the kitchen, you're thinking, what's going on up there? I quite fancy a bit of that. So you kind of make your way onto maybe the salad section, and you're sort of like, well, excuse me, chef, how do you do that? It's like, right, you can do these now, and then get back to your washing up. And then it grows like that. So like I say, if you're keen and you want to learn, there's plenty of people around here that are really happy to teach you. Yeah. And it doesn't mean learn like sit down with a book and a bit of paper that I'm no good with. It means getting out there and someone teaching you something to do with your hands, which is equally as important as being academically clever in my eyes.
Just quickly, before I want to move on to something else, what sort of positive effect can this have on people, their families, their attitude in life?
Yeah, I think it gives you discipline, but not in a disciplined way, which sounds quite strange, but you can still have fun and stuff in the kitchen, and but you'll learn this must be done at this time and stuff. And you learn, all the boys that are cricketers will know that I'm going to say this. It's systems. You need your systems. Everything has a system, even to the point where I know at home what to put my toaster on to when my coffee machine will make the coffee, so they're both ready together. And that's just chefing. That's all you do, because you're constantly, everything's coming together. You need that system to work. So systems, every little thing you do is just systems all the time. Yeah, you feed that into life as you go on. And I do it at the shop now. I clean down the shop in exactly the same order every single day, because I've worked out that's the quickest way to do it.
Mm-hmm. And it's made you a very effective human being.
Yeah. And it's, loads of chefs that I've trained have gone on to be head chefs somewhere, or loads have gone on to do something different and run their own business in completely something different. But they've taken what they've learned from a kitchen with them as kind of the cornerstone of, this is what I can do. I've got that discipline. All right, I might not be academically clever, but I know I can work this out. I can problem solve just like that. Bang, bang, bang. Done, done, done. Because I've done it 150 times every single service for 360 odd days of the year. I sit there and go, done, done, done. That needs to be done, that needs to be done, that needs to be done. And it gives you that focus.
It's like precision, isn't it? I absolutely love training people. And it's got to be, for me, it has to be one-to-one. I'm so intimate, and I could see the benefit of doing it in a classroom, but you can't, I'd rather give one person everything.
Yeah.
And then, I know that you've trained loads of people. I've trained quite a few people. When you're now sitting where you are, I mean, how good is that to sort of have that come back to you, know that you've set someone up in life?
Yeah, it's a great feeling to know that you're pushing people all the time, but then you see them getting better, and you're like, they've got it now. I showed them that, they've got it. Right, next thing. And loads of chefs that I've kind of taught that I've been hard on, I've then gone, I'm being hard on you because you can be better. And I know you can be better. So we're going to make you better. You might not like it, but you'll be better. And you kind of, in the kitchen, you work your way around different sections, and kind of the privileged or the best section would always be service. So you are cooking the main. That's you. You're cooking the main. That's the person's, could be paying 25, 30 quid for that bit of thing you're cooking. And if it's not right, you'll do it again. But you've got to perfect that 120 times a night. So that's the pinnacle of being in the kitchen. And when you can watch someone go through the kitchen and you get them onto that bit and you're doing it with them, and then you're doing it less with them and they're doing it more, and then you're just standing back, and then you're on the pass like that again, and they're just giving it to you, and you're like, yeah, lovely, mate. Look at that.
Man.
You cut a rump of lamb, and it's like, that is spot on.
Yeah.
Put it on the plate. Once you do that, it's great. A great feeling that you get from that.
And it is those little bits, isn't it? Like, I personally just want to give just a quick shout out to my latest apprentice, because he has grasped it. He makes me go all mushy. Honestly, lovely lad. Harry, big up to you, my friend. Is there one that you'd like to give a little shout out to? Because they love it to hear this as well. Go on, name 1 or 2 or 10.
Yeah, there's been a few over the years.
Come on, hit us with a couple, because they'll be listening to you.
Probably the last one that I had, who's now moved on for the cricketers, was Bradley. Real quiet, timid lad when he started, but he had it. I can tell straight away. You come and work with me for 20 minutes, and I can tell whether you're going to do it or you're not going to do it.
Worth my time.
I wouldn't say worth my time, but you can see whether you want to be there, probably. Or your parents have said, go and get a job at the cricketers. It's nice there.
Yeah.
We eat there a lot. It's lovely. Go and work there. But yeah, he was really good. And then, Ian Gunn, who's the guy with a tattoo.
Well, big up to those boys. And actually, big up, as always, to those who do make the time to teach. Dude, just quickly, we know that you're like a big fan, as I am, of Jamie Oliver and the whole family.
Yep.
Massive respect to them. Have you fed many celebs? Do you get many celebs coming into town? Is there any name drops? Are you allowed to say anything? Do you want to are they really lovely?
At the Cricks, we used to get quite a few in. Rod Stewart, it's been in quite a few times.
Man.
It's quite cool. Chaz from Chaz and Dave used to be a regular.
Yeah.
The Beckhams, I fed the Beckhams. That was quite good fun. We phoned Jamie and said, the Beckhams have made a booking. And then, as always seems to happen in the celebrity world, Jamie said, don't let them pay, it's on me. Which I'm not, it seems to be the more money you have, the less you pay. I'm not sure how this works.
That's probably why they've all got so much bloody money, mate.
And we were given information, shall we say, that one of the Beckhams could be slightly awkward. So they came in, sat down. So I'm a massive Man United fan. So there was no way. Trevor briefed all the boys in the kitchen. No one's coming out. No one's asking them for autographs. Just leave them alone, because they've come here to eat, not to be pestered. Which is fair enough.
100%, man. Yeah. No, they're just human at the end of the day.
So I said to Trevor, sure, maybe I go over and talk through the menu with them, because that's why I was going to go over, obviously. So he went over. David Beckham was like, I really fancy liver and bacon, mate. I was like, yeah, we've got that. Can do that for you, no problem. Victoria Beckham was, just a plain bit of cod will be fine for me, just steamed with a little bit of salt and pepper.
Boring hell.
So like, okay, fair enough. So yep, send it out. Anyway, bit of cod comes back, doesn't it? Don't like it, it's too fishy.
It was over seasoned.
No, it was just too fishy.
It was over fishy.
So you're like, hang on a minute, it's fish.
Yeah, man.
It's going to be fishy. So we just did a plain bit of chicken, went out, nothing out of it. So I thought, right, now's my moment. They've had the dessert. I'm going to take my menu out and I'm going to get him to sign it for me. And at the time, he was training with Spurs.
Right, yeah, I remember that.
When he was training with Spurs, and United were playing them at the weekend.
Yeah.
So I was out and I said, I'm a big Man U fan. Any chance of a signature? He was like, yeah, no problem. And I said, who do you think's going to win the weekend then? Because obviously you've been with Spurs, He goes, I think you will do all right. United will do all right. And then Victoria Beckham piped up and she went, can I just apologise? I went, oh. She goes, I only sent the fish back. She goes, I don't know if you know, but I'm pregnant. I mean, it had been in every paper for like 4 months. If you'd been living under a rock, you would know that she was pregnant. And she was like, everything just tastes a bit more than it should. But the chicken was lovely. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And that was it. It was like, she was really nice.
Very personable.
Yeah, given all this kind of, she's going to be really awkward, be careful. She sent a fish back like, oh, here we go. And no, she was really nice.
Yeah, there you go. In a nutshell, mate, we mustn't judge. Doesn't matter who they are. Like, non-judgmental. We all have this, like, expectation of somebody, don't we?
Yeah.
And especially when the bigger the ego, the bigger the expectation.
Yeah, and you think people are going to either be what they are on telly a bit, or you're starstruck and you're not quite sure if you should be approaching them, because you perhaps shouldn't be. The best celebrity that we had in, the nicest, would be Dermot O'Leary.
Yeah, I imagine he's absolutely charming.
He came in and he asked to speak to whoever was in charge in the kitchen. Went out and that was fantastic. What a great meal. Can I have a tour of your kitchen? So he met everyone, the wash-ups. He had photos of the wash-ups, everything.
That's so cool.
Gave him a tour of the kitchen. He sat down in the kitchen chatting to us. He was filming X Factor or one of them at the time.
Massive. He was huge.
He gave me his card. He goes, I've got a restaurant in Brighton, Fishy Fish. If you want to come down, just send this guy a message. And it was the head chef. He goes, I'll tell him that I've been here and tell him it's sent. So yeah, about a year and a half later, I think it was, 2 years later, I went down. It was really nice place. But he went out of his way. He didn't have to do that.
Yeah, I think some of these guys actually. Firstly, he's obviously seen the passion that sits behind there,
and he's a real foodie,
and also he's a real human being.
Yeah,
which we've got to give them credit for. They did start. It's not like they inherited their privilege. They've forged their careers. They've worked bloody hard. So fair play to them. And some of them are really cool, and some of them are really not cool. So. You play around with extremely dangerous tools, knives, fire, electric mandolins, I think I've made that up, boiling oil, and many tools of death. What's the worst accident you've ever seen in a kitchen?
Oh, I have seen a few. I've done a couple myself as well.
Let's go to the big one. Come on.
The worst one I've seen is quite horrific.
Go on, hit me with it.
He's the guy who took over from me as head chef at the Cricketers. It was a Sunday and Yorkshire trays in the oven. So you've got 18 Yorkshire trays, a tray with 18 holes, should I say, half filled with oil. Pour your Yorkshires in, Yorkshire mix in. So they should have been on a deep tray to catch the oil. They weren't, for whatever reason. Still a bit mysterious, that reason, but we won't delve into that. Yeah, and he took it out of the oven on the tilt on about a 25-degree angle at himself. And the fat went down his arm.
Oh.
So we threw him in the sink, pretty much, of cold water, and he was fine. Or he said he was fine. He's like, I'm all right, it doesn't hurt. That's when you know something's bad.
Yeah.
If you've ever hurt yourself and it doesn't hurt, you need to get serious help, and quite quickly. After about 20 minutes, pulled his arm out of the sink, and that had already blistered up really, really badly. So he went swiftly off to hospital. And then I think within 4 hours of being in hospital, they were unsure about the state of his arm. If you 360-degree burn your arm, it can cut the circulation off because of the tension. He had done it, but not quite. He had a blister probably a good 5 centimetres high from his elbow to his wrist on the top of his arm, and then proceeded to send us pictures of what they were doing. And they literally scraped the skin off.
Just a gore fest.
They just have to get it off. How he avoided skin grafts, we don't know. And now, if he held both his arms together, you could probably pick out just about which one it is. But the luckiest healing person I've ever seen, because it should have been.
I mean, hot
skin
oil
grafts.
for Yorkie puds. That's
and he was off work for 4 or 5 weeks. I think 6 weeks maybe off work through the summer.
It's a burn. It's a skin. It's the equivalent of just dipping your hand in a deep fat fryer.
Yeah, pretty much.
But he poured it onto himself. Yeah. Wow. So I think we've thoroughly covered a large part of mental health within the kitchens.
Yeah.
I think we've found some different things. There is an area, I think, that does affect a lot of people, particularly nowadays. We're all very anxious about our environment and how we're pillaging it, largely for survival. But there are ethical ways to do this. We, as a species, need to survive. There was a very interesting documentary that came out recently, Seaspiracy, and I thoroughly enjoyed it as a documentary. I thought it raised lots of different points. It would have split the argument. I'm fully aware that there's going to be more engineered thought processes and bounding factors that go towards creating these masterpieces. What were your thoughts on it, mate?
I watched it as soon as it came out, obviously. It was kind of sitting there waiting for me to watch. So I sat down with the wife as soon as it came out and put it on. I was hoping for a documentary that threw light on the fishing industry and threw light on the supermarket's involvement and what we could do to make things better. But I watched a propaganda video, I would call it, myself. Yeah, lots of it that you'll see in there does happen because you see it happen. So you can't say it doesn't happen. But it doesn't happen in this country. We have a very small fishing fleet of very small boats that take what we need or what they are allowed to take from the sea in a method that they know is better for the sea, and they're hopefully leaving behind something for future generations. There's points in it where they talk about slavery in fishing, which is a massive problem. Not for our country, but there is things you can do. You can understand where your fish comes from. Understand that if you go to the supermarket, it's not just for fish, it's kind of everything at the supermarket. Question why something's so cheap. 2 bits of salmon or 2 bits of sea bass. Why is it that cheap? What's happened before it's ended up on there to make it that cheap? Because that's gone through a lot of processes. A lot of people have had to take wages out of that. They're sitting there. So somewhere corners are being cut or margins are being squeezed, which essentially means people are being squeezed. You know, so the huge supermarkets are buying from the mass producers. The mass producers are leaving behind massive footprints. There's things in it about salmon farming. There's a few points it raises that are correct but not true. It raises that if farmed salmon wasn't fed the food, the dye, as they call it, it's fed, it wouldn't be pink, which is correct. It wouldn't be. But why is wild salmon pink? Wild salmon's pink because the nutrients that it needs help turn its flesh pink. So the feed they give salmon has those nutrients within it that help turn it pink. So yeah, they're right. A lot of the facts they give in it are outdated slightly. So the fact that the sea will be empty by 2058 or whatever was a study done in 2006, and the same guy that wrote that study has subsequently done other studies to prove that actually with proper sea management, the seas will be fine or could be fine. And there's loads of ways to do it properly. In one of the David Attenborough documentaries, he charts how a country have got a no fish zone where there is no fish and it's patrolled and they're not allowed to fish in it. So what happened is the fish population within that zone overspill, and the local fishermen can then take that fish, and that then feeds their local population, and they've had some of the best fishing they've had for a long time. So yeah, there's certain parts in it. I wouldn't say it wound me up, I just was disappointed because it could show people that buying from, I'm not just going to say a fishmonger, because certain people have a budget and you should buy what fits within your budget. But if you're eating meat, you don't have to eat meat every single day. Eat meat 2 or 3 times a week, but buy it a bit nicer.
I think we should just call it flesh, actually.
Yeah. If you're going to eat it, just understand where it's come from and speak to someone who knows where it's come from. You know, I'm champion at the shop at the moment that we've got a fishing industry that's on its knees. You know, you've got Brexit and has completely ruined a load of businesses within the fishing industry. COVID with lockdown restaurants, so they've lost overnight everything. All their customers gone. You know, you've got no trade to Europe for a bit. You've got no restaurant trade, which is the main place where fish gets eaten, really. And now you've got a documentary that's come out saying don't eat fish. So everyone's like, hang on a minute, we've got no customers here.
You just got to eat tofu instead.
Yeah, what's going on? So my wholesale fish price hasn't changed. I pay the same at the market that I've paid since I opened the shop, give or take. There's fluctuations with weather, popularity. You know, if there's more fish available, the price goes down, certain things like that. The fishermen are getting up to a half less than they were when I opened the fish shop. So people in the middle are making a colossal amount of money off these guys.
Just for peddling.
Just for moving it.
Just for
moving it around.
It's criminal, isn't it?
So yeah, I mean, the fishermen have had enough, rightly so. And they've set up a few cooperatives to sell fish direct. Yeah. So one of them contacted me, a group called Pesky Fish. Good name, catchy.
I like it.
So they basically have an app. The fishermen go out, catch what they need to catch or what they can catch, come back, load it into the app, and I can buy it directly from the fisherman. I can tell you the boat, the guy, where he's caught it. That's then overnighted to the shop. A few different transport methods that move fish around the country. That comes into the shop for me in the morning. And I pay pretty much, most of the time a little bit less actually than I was paying in the market, but pretty much the same. But I know that those guys are getting that money.
Yeah.
There's not 4 or 5 people in the middle taking the money off. And I'm getting different stuff. You know, flounders and wrasse and line-caught pollock, all these things that you wouldn't normally get, that you'd never get in a supermarket in a million years, that are just as tasty, cheaper, and the fishermen are selling something they wouldn't normally be able to sell. It wouldn't have that market value.
So people need to sort of be aware and try something a bit different.
Yeah, try something different.
Otherwise, you're just feeding the crustacean cartel that used to run the world.
Yeah.
It's all about the little fellas now. Don't we protect our waters to like 5 miles off the shore?
So every country in Europe you have your own 5 mile zone. So no one's allowed to fish within our 5 mile zone. Part of the deal with Brexit was to extend that to 10 miles, which will come in, but not for a while. So it means that your kind of Spanish super trawlers or your French trawlers can still come within 5 miles, which is still where our guys want to be.
I mean, those super trawlers as well. So there was lots of value in that documentary, and I totally agree with you the points that you made. But do you think there's going to be the reverse of that? So there'll be a docu that rallies against Seaspiracy to give a better overall reality check and a balanced perspective to let the viewers interpret a more middle ground, kind of the same as politics. You need to have 2, if not more, really good parties with different ideas on how to improve the situation and argue their points until they reach the middle ground, an agreement which inevitably keeps the majority of people happy. What's the cure for the fish and the fisheries to start sailing the ship closer to what me and my old mate Sir Dave is suggesting we need to do?
Unfortunately, as much as I'd love to see a documentary against it, I don't think there will be, because it's not as clickable, it's not as watchable. Seaspiracy was put up there and it's a shock and awe, and it's created a massive stir, and that's why people have watched it. It's been the talked about documentary. That's why people are wanting to watch it. No one wants to watch one of the guys down at Cornwall going out maybe 104 days a year if they're lucky, catching sodal one day and going back.
I suppose what we need to do is to sort of glamorise it a bit, maybe get him scubaed up with a harpoon.
Or get Fraser, the guy that dives from his scallops. I've got a guy that goes out scallop diving and he scuba dives, hand dive scallops.
Mate, I mean, that's watchable. See, like you make me think of another thing here. Pretty much the Pod Barber is all about finding the positives.
Yeah.
And that's really what it is. I suppose it basically it underlines the fact that we shouldn't believe everything that you read or see. It's usually corporate buying power. Like the best set algorithms based on biased data cast to catch your emotions and shape the debate and how they can further harvest you. And it is us lot, isn't it? That I'm talking about. Like, it's hook, line and sinker, isn't it? So don't be fooled by all the clickbait out there. Don't be a dummy. Ask yourself, what's their point? Where's it coming from? What do they want? Who's backing it? How did they fund it? Who benefits? Basically be a nosy little human being. Dig your own dirt, be your own reconnaissance mission and get all the angles, all the scoops. And, and then you don't believe the hype. Work it out for yourself.
Ask the questions. If you're buying a product from someone, ask the questions. If they don't know the answers, then ask yourself, why don't they know that?
Yeah. What's going wrong?
If someone knows, then they've got the passion, they've put the time in, they know where that's come from. Whatever they're selling, like say Tyler's stuff, he knows.
Mate, Tyler knows
he's from start to finish, and he knows. The butchers in town, they know. You ask them, they know where their cows, their sheep come from. They know.
Okay, man. What's your dream now? You've got the next shop going on. Get that established, but what are you conquering? Because people like you and me have always got one dial moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to open shops all over the country or something like that, because I like the fact what people like about the shop is it's me. Mm-hmm. So I don't want to not be there as such. But I'd like in the future maybe to find or have a space in town that brings everyone together, like a food hub or so you've got a nice baker's in there and you've got someone, you can have a little pop-up with some people doing some nice, because there's loads of good food trucks around here and it's becoming a massive thing. If you had someone that you could just turn up, right, it's your night, you come and do some food this night or whatever, just a space where everyone's together a bit more would be nice, I think, but who knows? A
cooperative collaboration.
Yeah.
To be fair, me and you've already talked about this out there, haven't we? It's me and Matt.
Yeah, you know.
When me and Matt get time, we're going to head that up. So something to look forward to because, I'm excited to do that. And it's just cool, wouldn't it? Just to get some really diverse stuff going on.
Yeah,
keeping it fresh.
Passionate foodies and some passionate people
Just keeping it lively and putting out something that's seasonal, that's on offer, that's bringing quality together and extending the connection. I mean, that's got to be the way forward. Wherever I've travelled, the best places are always like that. It doesn't have to be all glitzy. It doesn't have to be like...
nice food, want of a better term, the old-fashioned food hall, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly that. But it is about the personalities. you have got to stand behind the counter. I've got to stand behind the chair. You know, I've always said I'll always be cutting hair. And you'll always be cooking or chefing because that's what's in our blood, isn't it? But we're happy to divert and bring in, you know, other things to do.
So I'm always doing, you know, new things in the shop. The new one next door is going to have me back in the kitchen to a point, making stuff again and cooking stuff and exploring that kind of route of things.
So Saffron Fish Company, just what is the name? It is
Saffron Fish Co.
I couldn't remember if it was the
Saffron Fish Co.
Saffron. Yeah, so you just saved money on your billboard at the top by not putting
literally saved on printing. Yeah.
So you've succeeded navigating the choppy waters of COVID. I want you to say, for perhaps some of the people that don't know what Matt the Fish, Mr. Gurnett, is up to, why should they come and support you? What you're doing? What's the benefit? What's your USP?
Yeah, I think what's different and what I always wanted to do is demystify fish a little bit. People are always a bit put off by cooking fish. People are always a bit like, I don't know how to do it. So it's kind of, you can come in and I can give you a recipe for something simple with a bit of salmon, or I can give you a flounder that you've never tried before, tell you how to do it simply. Fish is best simple. You don't need to go over the top with it. I can give you my secret monkfish curry recipe that's really just a jar and throw it in the oven job, but actually produces a really fantastic meal at the end of the day kind of thing. That's what it's about. That's what the fish shop's about. The Pescatessen is going to be about quality cooked fish pies and lobster thermidors.
My mouth's watering.
We're going to do our crack and cheese, so crab mac and cheese, and we're going to do smack and cheese as well, so smoked haddock mac and cheese. So you can just, if you're in a rush, you can take that thing home, put it in the oven, and you've got something that's been prepared with love.
Proper soul food.
With proper ingredients and good fish from next door. And we're going to champion a few local suppliers through the shop as well that we've, you know, people we can get in contact with. We've got a couple already, working with some others, going to try and get some more stuff in, just nice products that work with fish. So it all feels one and it all works together.
I'm sure it will. Obviously, we're talking about the environment. Inland, you've mentioned the chalk
stream trout.
Like, what excites you and what frightens you about where we're heading with this situation, with the environmental pressure, with the anxiety that seems to be promoted, bearing in mind that you think somewhat differently?
Yeah, I think there's loads of good happening, loads of good producers. There's loads that, as a nation, we seem to be doing better at. Hopefully, now we've got a bit freer of our European counterparts. We can kind of trade a bit better, a bit easier, and it just allows us to do more. But on the flip side of that, there is the worry of the talk of losing the red tractor sticker, things like this, the talk of the chlorinated chicken from America, what we're going to be bringing in, because the supermarkets like things cheaper and like to try and pass on these savings, but where's it coming from eventually? Is it going to come from further afield where you don't quite know what's happened to it? We don't really know now, so we're really not going to know at all.
Well, we were all eating horse not that long ago.
Yeah, there's options out there. You can work at it and find an alternative that suits your budget. I have a little lad comes in every Saturday, picks out the fish he wants, shows me what ones are in his book and that. And he has different stuff all the time, and that's really nice. I like that. I think kids feel more at home picking out fish because it's ugly. You don't mind eating that.
Yeah.
Meat kind of looks the same, all laid out. There's no difference really. Once it's all laid out in front of you, it's one's slightly lighter red than the other one, and that's about it.
It's about the colour, isn't it?
Whereas fish can look so different and quite barbaric sometimes, sitting there with its head on and the eyes. They're like, oh, I'll have that one, and that's really nice to see.
It is about the display, isn't it? Because when you dress your shop and you can see somebody's thought about, like that presentation, that's a good cue, isn't it, to go in there, when it's clean, fresh, and
you could, if you look at fish, if it doesn't smell fishy, it's fresh. If it looks bright and shiny, it's nice and fresh.
So I like my little curveball question. We have sort of gone over there in different sort of areas, but sex, drugs and rock and roll, man, what's it to you?
I'll probably go with the drugs, I think.
Go on,
would be, I think, an obvious choice coming from the hospitality industry. I think, as most of us have probably dabbled or played with at certain times in our life. And I think 10 years ago, been through a bit of a breakup, was a bit on my own, a bit quiet at work, really, just kind of got on with it, blah, blah, blah. We had a few new young guys start, all good fun, got on really well, started going out, like as we would do, And then, yeah, kind of like, oh, do you want a bit of this? We're like, yeah, we'll have a bit of that. Yeah, this is fun. And then you kind of turn into a bit more, well, should we go out again tonight then? Yeah, let's go out again tonight. Yeah, this will be fun. Again. And it kind of started becoming a bit of like, hang on, we're doing this a lot now. And the problem with being a chef is you get paid really well. So you have a lot of disposable income. And when there's a group of you with a lot of disposable income, it becomes quite easy. And it probably went on for about 4 or 5 months. And then we kind of looked at each other and we were like, we used to go out drinking and we would drink as much money as we had in our pockets.
Mm.
And now we're doing that with drugs.
Yeah.
And I was like, do you know what? I don't need this now. Like, this isn't fun. It wasn't even out of control either. It was just like, nah, this is boring now. It's like, I'm not really sure where this will end up. And then subsequently, at about the same time, met my now wife.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, kind of that gave me a new focus. I didn't want to be that gurning, it's never attractive no matter who you are. There was a good group of us at the time that looked after each other. And each of us had gone too far on one night, but the others were always there to look after and make sure everything was all right. And we didn't really do anything too stupid. And we did it in each other's houses or, we weren't out.
Everything's so readily available. It's probably easier to get something naughty than it is something nice.
Yeah, it's stupidly easy, but it doesn't always make it right.
Matt the Fish. Naturally, all your customers know where to find you, but how do those who think, actually, that is a really passionate, positive young man, and I want to go and support him, I want to go and support his company because I believe that is going to have a chain of effect of positivity. How can they find you? What's your social media addresses? Give me the lowdown.
So social media is all Saffron Fish Co. at Saffron Fish Co. We're on George Street in Saffron Walden. So if you're a lorry driver, basically, you come down the high street, I'm the shop you nearly hit every single day. It's like Armageddon, like blackout when they drive past down there. So we're down there. The Pescatessen will be opening shortly-ish. Not going to put a date on it because I don't like to put a pressure on something like that. I just like it to, when it's ready, it'll open. When I feel it's ready, same as I do with my shop. There'll be no grand launch. We'll just open quietly and you'll sort of know we're open. And yeah, we've got loads of cool stuff coming up on our social media. The wife's now a full-time partner and that's her background. She's a multimedia marketing manager. That's what she's come from. So she's got some cool ideas for stuff we're going to do, like tips and reels of how to do something quickly, or this is how you cook some scallops. You'll see it being done. You can look at it and go, oh, that's actually how you do it. That's a cool tip. You don't have to just listen to me babbling on in the shop when you come in.
So she's obviously worked out that that's probably quite irritating. But she listens to you babbling on all the time, and it's like my missus, mate. I imagine your missus will be listening in, probably quite proud, I would imagine. It makes me feel a bit emotion. So is there any message that you'd like to give to her?
Just thank you, really. Like, wouldn't have been able to do it without her. That's the bottom line. So, yeah, she's always been there to kind of push me along, guide me, let me know that my imposter syndrome is not real, that this is happening. You are doing this and you're good at it. Because I think, kind of get that the little niggling voice that's like, is this really working? And it is, it's going really well. But yeah, just thank you, really. Words don't say enough, but thank you.
That's proper love, man. I can see, actually, he's getting a bit emotional, bless him. I was going to give you the tissue I've used. Here you go, mate.
Cheers, mate.
Dry eyes, pal, dry eyes. Although it's okay to cry. Just quickly, I want to start a poll out there as well to the Pod Barber Massive. And do you think Matt the Fish should not only serve up the mullet, but should he grow one too?
I don't have long hair. It winds me up.
I don't care. We're going to start a poll. It's an idea I had earlier on, and I thought it'd be funny. And for charity, if we get enough people, will you grow a mullet? Because, let's face it, you're serving up the mullet. And we've got to do it. We've got to run it for at least a year for it to count. And we'll all chip in money. You can have a bucket in the shop.
Yeah, I think we'll do it for a men's mental health charity. If the price is right and we can raise enough money, then yeah, we'll do it.
Okay, that's the scoop today. Matty's mullet. I have absolutely enthralled in your conversation. I always love cutting your hair and nicking little ideas off of you. And I don't really feel like I nick them because you kind of just give them to me anyway, don't you, mate? I think we've been on one shell of a boat trip. They're chartered ourselves round the seas, and I hope we've created a pearl from the oyster of all chats. So with massive gratitude, huge respect, tight lines, boy. Peace, love, and power to your day.
Thanks, man. It's been a pleasure.
The Pod Barber is a That Media and Design production, with Mickey at the mic and Howie at the controls. Just search The Pod Barber on social and let's get connected.